Hi and welcome to Calc Apps Day 1, and today we are going to be talking about the time rates of change. Our understanding goal is varying quantities can be modeled using functions of time. So get on the notes here. There are countless quantities in the real world that vary with time. For example, temperature varies continuously. The height of a tree varies as it grows. The prices of stocks and shares vary with each day's trading. Varying quantities can be modeled using functions of time. For example, we could use S of t to model the distance traveled by a runner, h of t to model the height of a person riding on a Ferris wheel, and c of t to model the capacity of a person's lungs, which changes when the person breathes. We saw in the previous chapter that if y is equal to f of x, then f prime of x, or dy dx, is the slope of the tangent at any value of x, and also the rate of change in y with respect to x. We can likewise find the derivative of a function of time to tell us the rate at which something is happening. So for the above examples, we have ds dt, or s prime of t, is the instantaneous speed of the runner. It might have units meters per second, or ms to the negative 1. That's still meters per second, just written differently. dh dt, or h prime of t, is the instantaneous rate of ascent of the person on a Ferris wheel. It might have units meters per seconds, just like the one above, or meters with seconds to the negative 1. dc dt, or c prime of t, is the person's instantaneous rate of change in the lung capacity. It might have units liters per second, or L s to the negative 1. So anytime you see this s to the negative 1, that means per second. So let's try this. The estimated future profits of a small business are given by P of t equals 2t squared minus 12t plus $118,000, where t is the time in years from now. So those are things that are important to us. What is the current annual profit? Find dp dt and state its units. What is the significance of dp dt? For what values of t will the profit A decrease, B increase on the previous years? What is the minimum profit and when does it occur? And find dp dt when t equals 4, when t equals 10, and t equals 25, and what do these figures represent? So let's get started with part A. What is the current annual profit? Well, the first thing we need to do is, for the annual profit, is put in 0 for t. So we have 2 times 0 squared minus 12 times 0 plus 118. So this is equal to 118, but this is thousands of dollars, so it's $118,000 is their current annual profit. Find dp dt and state its units. So to find dp dt, that's just taking the derivative. If I take the derivative of my original function, I would get 4t minus 12, and my units would be thousands of dollars and that would be per year. So part C is, what is the significance of dp dt? Well, dp dt is the rate of change in profit respect to time. Part D, for what values of t will the profit A decrease and B increase on the previous years? Well, part D of A, the profit decreases when dp dt would be less than or equal to 0. So we take our derivative for t minus 12 and make it less than or equal to 0. If we solve this, we will have 4t is greater than or equal to 0, or sorry, 12, with the 12 over, and then divide by 4, so t is less than or equal to 3. But something we have to be careful of, time has to be greater than or equal to 0. So 0 less than or equal to t less than or equal to 3 years is when I am decreasing. So that means it increases on previous years when dp dt is greater than or equal to 0. And in this case, it would have to be when t is greater than 3. It can't be equal to, but it would be greater than 3. Because if we look back to what we solved here, we had t is less than or equal to 3, but time has to be greater than or equal to 0. So between 0 and 3 years, our profits were decreasing. So after the 3-year mark, our profits start to increase. Okay. For part E, what is the minimum profit and when does it occur? Well, this is a quadratic function. If we look at our original function, it's a quadratic function. And A is greater than 0. Therefore, I'm going to have a parabola that opens up, and my minimum profit occurs when dp dt is equal to 0. So in this case, t is equal to 3. Because if it's greater than or equal to 0 and t is equal to 3, if I set it equal to 0, I'm still going to get 3 for t. Okay, so I need to actually evaluate my function, original function, at 3. So it's 2 times 3 squared minus 12 times 3 plus 118. And when I do the math, you can check this, you would get 100. So it's $100,000 would be my minimum profit. For F, find dp/dt when t is 4, when t is 10, and when t is 25, and what do these figures represent? Well, if t is equal to, if t is equal to 4, then dp dt would be 4 times 4 minus 12, which is 4. So the profit increases at $4,000 per year after 4 years. If t is equal to 10, then dp dt is equal to 4 times 10 minus 12, which is 28. So the profit increases at $28,000 per year after 10 years. And if t is equal to 25, then dp dt, if I put in 25, it's 4 times 25 minus 12, is equal to 88. So the profit increases at $88,000 per year after 25 years. Okay, when we get into class tomorrow, we will discuss the problem and start working on some homework. I hope you liked doing your notes this way.